aboa ama support bi a wo edema agricultural productivity no etimi akoso ye papa ewo maiga no ntima Penny John Dramani Mahama wo chese eye afi 2026 enko na wiye no na 50 farmer eye service center de o maiga na ha no ebusu ye papa nsem we ana wo sign editu eja
that I'm going to cut the sod or break the ground for the first farmer service center this Friday at the Afram Plains. Government intends to build 50 of these centers nationwide in the main agricultural producing areas. The first phase will cover 11 centers, and I'm breaking ground for the first one on Friday at the Afram Plains. Farmers will be required to register with their local farmer service center, and they would get mechanization support in terms of tractors, plowing, harrowing, transporting, fertilizers, and shellers for processing their grains, and many other support. They will even be giving training at these agriculture centers. There will be extension officers who will give them advice on their production. The future of agriculture must also respond to the realities of climate change, population growth, and global competition. And this means that we have to invest in technologies that improve productivity sustainably, reduce post-harvest losses, expand irrigation and water efficiency, strengthen climate-smart farming, and improve traceability and standards for export. Food security and export growth are not competing objectives. A productive, technology-driven agricultural sector can feed our people, supply our industries, and generate precious foreign exchange for our economy. If Ghana is to succeed in this transformation, every stakeholder must play his part. To our farmers, you are not the last link in the development chain. You are its very foundation. To our entrepreneurs and manufacturers, continue to build and scale solutions made in Ghana for Africa. To our young people, agriculture is not a sector of the past, it is one of the frontiers of our future.
Ebusiafo enunti semwe ana Penny John Dramani Mahama wode abetudwa yensu yedibi ababesomo na yeto ansem ne so de ama Penny abedi echemiche Vice President Professor Jenana Opoko Ajiman enso ndrada obone homode ekopie mo ewo Ministry of Food and Agriculture ne ho ana Penny abedi eche ensem dodo na etudwa wo chim se emre edu se Ghana yensu yetimi eboye homode na ye produce nnuane ahodo ewo my Ghana no susu se eno eyade bi ebeboa ma agriculture sector no etimi akoso ye papa na wo che se local food production no eno eyade bi a ewo se wo mutimi hwe na wo mohye muke na se ne be betimi aboama bibia no nnuane ahodo ayenya ewo my Ghana ha no yetimi aye ni ye na wo che se say ye be invest ewo agriculture mu no eno eyade bi a eda makoma so ye papa no nti se ade wo mo be fato mo ho so se kuafo ahodo a wo mo ewo my Ghana ha no mmoa ene noma bi a wo mhia se ne be betimi aboa ma wo mukua yedwuma no etimi akonenim no ade ampenifo befa ato makoma so no maye na development bia na ewo se wo mo ye no wo mo aye nenia de aboa ekuafo eno nti semwe ana mampani abedi eche Professor Jane Nana Opoko Ajiman ende due wode abetudwa wo che mo se wo mo ebehwe ma local production ewo my Ghana ha no etimi akonenim ye papa de aboa wo my Ghana semwe eno de tudwa mra wo kopie mo ewo Ministry of Food and Agriculture ho ana mampani abedi eche Professor Jane Nana Opoko Ajiman wode sansemu na etudwa yenso yedi bi aba besomo ewo kase no eso na medewo free sansem we mu na no pay medewo ato aso akonsem from their minority caucus metredom koma womo ewo marche bedwafie enso edensem twofo hye mu ahihye so mo chese sisi ade Ghana sukufo a womo ewo bi man so UK no wo mo ho acho mo ye papa o mo su fra ban ene ni mpanifo se wo mo ntimi ntwa mo ni enfa behwe wo eno enam so amadom kuma enso e de adesyede eto Ghana ban enim se si ade sukufo e wo mo hia mboa no ntimi mpanifo enhwe na mmoa bia wo mo ewode man sukufo wo mo nye fa mo no e ade bia bebo mo mama disua no etimi egina ne nan so e de amom semwe anadom kuma a wo mo ewo mrashi bedwafie no wo mo de abetu edwa.
Students have informed us that their visas expired on 30th January 2026 in the responsible efforts to avoid overstaying and breaching UK immigration laws. Some of them applied for graduate visas under the post-study work arrangements. However, these applications were declined because their tuition obligations remain unsettled by their financial sponsors. The petition also points a painful picture of the hardship these students are currently enduring. Many have exhausted their personal savings while waiting for the state to fulfill its obligations. Some have reportedly resorted to food banks simply to meet their basic nutritional needs while struggling to pay for accommodation and other essential expenses. No Ghanaian student sent abroad by state should be reduced to such indignity. The emotional and psychological burden created by this uncertainty is considerable. These students left Ghana with hope, ambition, and a sense of national duty. Today, they face anxiety, embarrassment, and the frightening possibility that their academic journey could be cut short through no fault of their own.
Ebusiafo enu tinsem we anadom kuma wo mo ewo mrahye bedwafie no anope wo mo de abetudwa yen so ye de bi aba besum ye de wo eto ansem ne so akonsem from there eye anka ne Minister for Lands and Natural Resource oye Samuel Abdullahi Jenapo wono so e de abetudwa wo chim se kwan aban e fa so eye mining anase mining policies ahodo a wo mo de egu kwan mo no eno eye ade bia attract investors ma omumba o my Ghana ha embeboa ma se adwuma no entimi enko nanim no nti we de wo hye aban ne penny for say policies ahodo a wo betimi ade egu kwan mo na attract investors no wo mo hwe na wo munye na sesia de sa policies no ade a emboa mining sector no ewo my Ghana same way ana anka ne Minister for Lands and Natural Resource Samuel Abdullahi Jenapo wode abetu edwa
for this drop, which is the Global Mining Attractiveness Index ranking, is a reputable international ranking agency which deals with investment attractiveness, conducive investment climate of countries. And Ghana is dropped by 7 points. The reasons are not far-fetched. You know, the extractive industry, as in mining, petrochemical industry and all of that, is capital intensive and it's risky. And so you have a situation where you can sink in, for example, $1 billion United States dollars and not find any gold or not find any oil. That is how it works. We had exploration happening in Ghana for many years until Cosmos struck oil in Ghana during President Kufuor's time in 2006 or 2007 or so. So is it for gold. So is it for minerals. You can invest huge sums of money and eventually not find any mineral. That is how the industry works. And so investors will never put in their money if the investment climate is not conducive. And a lot of the measures that have been put in place by the current government is worrying. First of all, there's no predictability. There's no clarity of policy. Today we are being told of sliding scale. The next time we say lithium royalty is 5%. Then we say we are negotiating. And then we say we are doing that. And then we are reviewing leases. And there is a certain sense of resource nationalism. and government intervention in the industry is very opaque, it's not transparent, takeover of mines, and the brouhahas and the controversies, all of those have come together to put Ghana out there in the international investment community as not a reliable, predictable place to put the millions and billions of dollars which are required.
Ebusiafo enuti semwe ana John eye Jinapo Abdullahi Wode abetudwa yen so ye dibi aba besomo na ne 71 fans wa wosan edit tudwa bi ma wo chem say ye Middle East meeting me ho ase ekoso ho no eye mampeni John Dramani Mahama ne stand e wo ho no eye ade bia eye wo mode compare eye mampeni dada na nado danko ekofado wo no so eye ne nsem bia no kekan fa ye economy no a wo chese eye aye ade bia e wo ho sa na wo chem say mampeni John Dramani Mahama sa Middle East meeting me ho ase ekoso e wo se wo timi hwe na wo si gina ye efa wo se ebeboa ma Ghana esikasem akos anase ebama isikasem akofom no se yetimi etibi ewe yasum Samuel Abdullahi Jenapo wono anodin semwe abetu eja nim se ni nuane din na mekoboye ni nuane ye John Jenapo na we.
That suggestion, we must be honest and we must keep faith with our countrymen and women and be bold to say that is true, that is correct. Global events affect countries everywhere in the world. That is a fact. It will be disingenuous, dishonest, and if you allow me, unpatriotic for anybody to suggest that events outside our country will not or do not affect our country. They do affect our country. Today, in India, or Sri Lanka, I think, one country like that, I read it in the international news, is taking a day off, I think Wednesdays, as a holiday, in order to reduce fuel consumption. Because as a result of the Middle East crisis, their fuel importation, petrochemical importation, is disrupted. And therefore, they've put in this measure to safeguard their citizens. So that is a fact. Let's, as politicians, let's call a spade a spade. Let's be frank, let's be truthful. That is a fact. Secondly, our friends from the other side, the NDC, at the time of COVID-19 and the Ukraine-Russia war, said categorically at the highest level that it doesn't affect us. They said even Ukraine is 17,000 days away, this, that, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it ought not affect our country. Let us call out that hypocrisy, that political hypocrisy. Let's condemn it. And let's say that it was clearly a ploy to win the votes of the Ghanaian people.
You feel there should be some apology from the current government?
Well, that's up to them. But the truth is that what is happening today vindicates the Akufo-Addo administration. When the Akufo-Addo administration said COVID-19 and the Ukraine-Russia war affected our national economy and brought about many of the problems we had. It is not the only reason, it cannot be the only reason, but it impacted our national economy. For those who said it didn't, and are now telling us that it does, for them, it's for them to explain to the Ghanaian people, but it's the dishonesty in our public life by some individuals and group of people who
Ebusiafo ne nsem no wosan edit dwabia ma wo chem se wo se mampeni John Dramani Mahama woni eye members edema eye so frɛ eye emergency cabinet meeting at the Middle East meeting me ho ase ekoso ho no se ne be ya wo metimi a church Ghana for say sa eye meeting me ho ase abe ma Ghana sikasem akostro ana se ebe ha sikasem no wo se mampeni John Dramani Mahama wotimi efre meeting na wo mo edininia etudwan semwe ana Samuel Jenapo wosan editu eja
tested not in comfort times, not in better times, not in favorable times, but in tough times and in times of crisis. History has taught us over the years that leaders rise up to the occasion in times of crisis, and citizens expect a lot more from their leaders in times of crisis as we have it today. Within a space of just 2 weeks, we've had a spike in petrochemical, the price of petrol in our country. It's a spike. And clearly, I'm not an economist, but the economists will tell you that not too long from now, we're going to have the spiral effect. You're going to have transport fares go up. You're going to have inflation go up. You're going to have the cost of living crisis in our country exacerbated. It's going to get worse. It's going to happen. And this is where leadership is called upon. In 2008, during the global financial crash, President Kufuor rose up to the occasion, broadcasted to the nation, removed taxes on oil, on rice, on essential commodities in our country, and attempted to give some relief to the Ghanaian people. At the time of COVID, we all saw it, fellow Ghanaians. President Akufo-Addo stood up to the occasion. Free electricity, free water, brought about all kinds of measures for the vulnerable, fed the vulnerable, worked a formula out which ensured that healthcare workers were given tax rebates, generally gave incentives and relief and a welfare package to the mass of our people. This is what President Akufo-Addo did at the time of crisis. President Kufuor has done it. Today, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom has just approved £53 million to support British citizens in the purchase of oil for heating during winter. Countries across the world are putting in place measures to cushion their citizens. Our government should also step forward, especially so when in opposition they even had prescriptions. They said we can use the stabilization fund, we can use a sinking fund, we can use a sovereignty fund, we can remove taxes from fuel, and that we can take out about 8 out of the so many taxes on the fuel accumulation or pricing, which will bring about relief. What the government should do is to step forward and bring about relief and cushion Ghanaian people, as President Kufuor did, as President Akufo-Addo did, as other leaders are doing today across the world. Well, the hypocrisy of their politics and what they did for me is one thing to be commented upon, but in my view, it's tangential. The most important thing is that they should show leadership as President Kufuor did. They should show leadership. The government should convene an emergency meeting. They should convene an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss the situation and find a way of bringing relief to the Ghanaian people. Because at the end of the day, what is important is the welfare of our countrymen and women. They should find a way of bringing relief to the Ghanaian people, especially so.
Adeshima Benuntin same way ana Samo Abdullah Jenapo wode abetuja no pay yen so yade bi ababe somo e wo kase no so ye gina ni seme so na ye twa ye ho akwaje aboa fon krato aba ye ba nsem no ye beto aso edi
Yo, I'm for and I am Makwaba at the bar, a KFM musical shopper. The Tosumiano, who free a Kumasama come that Damono, a sunny at the bar at Dumino, Sabran Udu, a Sambra Junction, Sambra Hotel, Quantana Sope. Now shop no any Sambra Hotel and the Dinsha anymore. Would the free Sambra Hotel, a whole sunny at the co, Nankane and Hagan Hono, Anne, a hot and a KFM musical shop. The Tosumiano, yet be no fofro. Now the air can say, if you papa a timiche. The Odia sorry, the Odi Gro Agro Ahudo. Tuma de Bia Woody open here a young figure musical instrument piano, a KFM, and to say Ghana Muntie Asantema Muntie, a KFM musical shop, Anna Sabre Yabiano for Monochai, a war Premper the 2nd Street. Ufri old man come down and now sunny a day co a dumino, and Udu Sambra Hotel Quantana so. Now what done on Sunny Faso, a hot anas KFM musical shop ye a walk. Yanis Sambra Hotel, Anna ever anymore. Ya chow abribia.
Gran Messi. Sir, may I proud and I say may you jar. Me free. Kumasi Dum KFM instrument store. Obi bisa sa se bomen fo dia what to ma woni si da what dey near my papa ejina woni na what to say yes what to no bibi aka wakoma ni nyina free KFM Instrument Store Kumasi Adum se mi kina ho na me to no ma mi timi nya ho me ka fi se fi papa mu anim na mi kina no wo betina ye ko ma ya do se kana twa nanka kana wu ensamfu ayi
Medo benami Ghana duko do ajaple ho duko kata. Mie chonya nyi ade vena mi cho Talent Microfinance Limited Gajadopa. Mie wona susu savings, adishare, school buafo, cashback, ple bubwa okata. Nenya be egajom de mi agbo la letie tomegbeko aten aho gadodo. Kenenya be egajom vivi la nenya be o gahia ola aten ava de ogai kene hia fa.
Tanenya be mi foncho mi afa jom yo kenya mi afa gadodo nyawa. Business loan elemiashi, church finance elemiashi, salary loan elemiashi, eye bubu li kenya personal loan. Nenya be mi foncho business loan enye gadodo ikemie nana asichalao. Nenya be washigba keke alum eleswe oya va talent mi pepe gede nwo nenye wo shigba lesua ne woge wo keke gede ji to talent po monu ome nenye be mi ponchu mi afa salary loan enye gado mo mi ke mi vuna mi afa jidudu $1 nke ga nyo he ya va talent wo pay slip pe bank statement ye kwenye nwi hia o na kokko ho salary loan le rate mi to keke akeji church financier personal loan va nenye habobo masoli hama eji fufofo sankuo jitao olila ashibobwe kekeake mie flegeno na nohem v chojinto jinwade vare koreka mpopo kai ganyu heya talent kuna kpoheya ole chagbagba na do tare talent bena wo gado monwa anobobwe nami akpenami
etibe ya nyafi ke talent la
Talent Microfinance Jengo Amegan Shipe Ape Letina Tejipo Hotame
miape kapomo enya 050-129-1298 alo 050-128-9119 talent woga kwamanu kwanto
Talent Microfinance, your channel of wealth.
Ebusia for your sign mamuni na kwaba edamo asesa no pe mugu so etimo TV ho amohwe no so pe mu kase wo KFM TV ne so mekoso o ka wo sensemi etwegu ewe abefo ntintam fidie ne so Facebook and YouTube KFM TV ginge obetimi ahwebi na wa share na wa like na wa dwenche no so odi egu ase ama me kama na meto ansem ne so edi amodia Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development penia woda no so eden sem bia betuja wo chim se sesi ade wo mo behwe ama wo mo ebe license se artisanal fishing canoes ahodro a wo man Ghana ha wo mo di edwuma se ne be betimi aboa ma edwuma mo ye no etimi akonenim na ama fishing no anase fishing industry no and also to me afanento mapa edi France same way and Minister for Fisheries edi abeto eja
and the general public that a lot of work is going on around this piracy issue, that as Mr. Chair, you know, some border on national security issues, so can't be said in public, but just to assure people that a lot is happening, that to protect our fishermen so that they can go to sea and come back safely. So one of the things we are doing in the sector, for example, is to license canoes. The law enjoins us to license all fishing fleet. We have done that successfully for industrial and semi-industrial. It's never been able to be done for artisanal, but we are going to start that process with them. But we are also going to be working to put transponders on their vessels so we know where they are at sea, and also importantly communication systems As it is now, when they go beyond a certain threshold on the water, smartphone connection ceases. You can only get YAM phone connection. But beyond another distance, you don't get them at all. So we don't have eyes there. Our fishermen are out there, and we can't communicate with them. So we are working at communication systems so that we know we can communicate with them, but also transponders for surveillance, and then, as I said earlier on, some insurance and pension scheme also for them. Thank you.
Ebusiafo no tin same way ana Minister for Fisheries Eddie Abetudwa no pay so yedi bi ababesum na yedi we free sansem no medo akonsem from there Ghana Police Service a mo asante mantem Eddie Abetudwa mo chese wo mo nsa so nipa be semiensan mo esusu se Kusasi chief Asanwase wo mo chese wo July bosume mo no wa afimpinu ni eduonu enu mo no ewudie bi ekoso a eno sa chief wo mo ekun no ana hwehwemu ekoso no ana police for echom se ade omo nsa so nipa miensam a wo mo esusu se sa wudie no wo mo enim ho bi.
Good morning, distinguished members of the media, senior police officers, junior police officer, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to this morning's press briefing. The Ghana Police Service continues to intensify intelligence-led operations aimed at combating armed robbery, unlawful possession of firearms, and other violent crimes across the country. Today's briefing will focus on significant developments arising from an ongoing operation conducted by the Ashanti South Regional Police Command. Ashanti South Regional Police Command operations update. 12 suspects arrested, arsenals of weapons recovered, suspects linked to the murder of the Kusasi chief at Atwansi. During our last briefing, we reported an intelligence-led operation by the Ashanti South Regional Police Command, during which a gang of armed men was engaged on the Boasi-Dungwa Highway. In the ensuing exchange of fire, two suspects, David Aheto, aged 41, and Ilyasu Bawa, aged 32, sustained fatal gunshot wounds. Weapons and ammunition were recovered at the scene, and 4 suspects, namely Abdallah Alassan, Jamini Usman, alias Babamu, Aminu Idrisu, alias 0244, and Daniel Debra, were subsequently arrested. An illegal arms supply network was also uncovered, with investigations pointing to a broader criminal syndicate operating across the Ashanti region. We are now able to provide a comprehensive update on that operation. Continued investigations and follow-up intelligence operations have resulted in further arrests, the recovery of substantial cache of weapons and ammunition, and the identification of individuals linked to the murder of the Kusasi chief at Aswansi, Kumasi. Subsequent intelligence-led operations, building on the earlier arrests reported at your last briefing, has brought the total number of suspects in custody to 12. The additional suspects arrested are Ilyasu Dauda, Majid Isaka Jibril, Gafaru Ibrahim, Muhammad Mumuni alias Mama, Tanko Malik alias Bronze, Muhammad Bawa alias Malam, Alasan Abdallah, Jamil Osman alias Babamu alias Guru, Suleiman Yasser Arafat alias
Ebusiafo no tin same way ana Ghana Police Service a mo wasante mantem wo mo de abatudwa no pay ayen so yedi bi ababesum na yede wo every sansem nim na do akonsem from there Tama Traditional Council e de abatudwa mo chese wo mo de mbrafo for aba wo mo e de share wo mo abibia so mo ye program bia no mo akwaje kwan finfin aboso ene no mo block kwan no wo mo chese si ade sa ade no womo ensuso so biom ewo my Ghana titiru ene environment ma so ye program bi na ohwe na ohia baby eso akope baby na enye kwan emfinfin na mbeba abeje na ndie mo block kwan ka anko kamba wo chese sade no womo ensuso so biom sesi ade womo de tab no atoso
Such a tema bientôt, bien mané, bien dans ma lutte à négocier, tema à zéro les, et toi, il doit s'attendre. Tu vois, il y a, mais comme un débit, mais comme un chalet, mais comme un bec. Vous connaissez des gens qui chalet et bas, mais toi, n'est pas où. Quelqu'un a fait adorer, quelqu'un a tibé, malgré tout fait, une esprit, courageux au war. Any minute fair, maybe a big business. A communication, I know. Me, I'm a job with you when you walk around the school. A comedian, a candy business. What will be and why this could be any a we go on good Nakanaka when you move. Look out with the law, okay? Go and look for Femo. Let me get back. Cashiba with no man. Femo, no back. Come go your work when they walk. Okay, I don't care. A birthday party can be make a TV. I go out to sing. That have a birthday party. People go after the party, vacation they walk. But disturbing it. It was. You don't want to pay. Can't take it. Walk away with you. Anyway, no, I get the lack of not only floor. He said that the floor. I may need it. Go. Not make it to have it. You won't need it. No walk there, but there. You go near what did I look at going Lord? Fake market too fair, I can't feel adore. I come here, I get I feel all night. Go casual. You can't feel near. But if you want music get play, when they told them to a hammer, when they buy a best one, they told them what, run they walk. Look at the minute, one walk. As Phil said, many market too fair. After that, me I'm a disturbed. I'm a trauma to it. Can you minute you for Nigeria? God, they go off it as also. But for now, see the machines there. Gas the machines there. If they go back, God did again. Mlag me up where oil for. See, mlag me back. She saw me or disturb me after that. Your be. Your enemy. I been some be now all night and me fight. Ke afe ni atafite aba machine she blow. Kay Pabu, Baba is below, couldn't get she bonnet Ayana when if you get a child new time, I get on that at the front of the wall, they will be you. And if you will come loud, you what you get famous. Many cat would near mammy, why would be go on a time and we're very bad. But they come again enough your the business, go on, you go a shelling.
Ebusiafo anu ntinsem we ana eye mpenifo ahodo a wo mo ewotema traditional council wo mo de abetudwa yen so ye de bi ababesum ye de we free sansem nim de do kwa apomode ensem eye minister for health eye Kwabena Minta Kando and they do officially no we inaugurate eye board of health training institution ewo my Ghana ha wo che board we eye board bi a ebeboa ma ye healthcare delivery no etimi akona enim to mo hwe sesesi a ye inaugurate om no one baby edwuma ye papa ewo my Ghana ide aboa ye health sector no in some way ana Kwabena Minta Kando ye minister for health no what they abeto eja.
It's a clear policy shift. Government is not only opening and building nursing training institutions, but what we are doing at this point in time is to concentrate on the specialties. We all know that we have introduced what we call Mahama Cares, with dedicated funding on the treatment of non-communicable diseases. There's a huge gap with regards to the professionals who will help in treating these diseases. And as government, our policy must address that gap. And so those of you, especially opinion leaders, who are demanding the establishment of nursing training colleges in your constituencies and in your inaugurated advisory boards. Your appointment carries both honor and responsibility. You are entrusted with an important governance mandate at a critical time in the development of our health professional education in our country. Your role is to provide oversight, guidance, and strategic support to ensure that these institutions are managed efficiently, responsibly, and in the national interest. You are not to go and share the office of the principal with him or her. Please, let's be guided. Thank you. In this regard, allow me to emphasize 3 expectations. First, uphold good governance through the transparency, accountability, and prudence in the management of institutional resources. Second, champion quality by supporting academic excellence, high standards, and continuous improvement in teaching, practical training, professional conduct.
Ebusian Finance Semway and Minister for Health, Kabnamita Kando, Wode, Abetujano Paya, and so maybe Ababe, so Mijina Sonoma Daneme Hosima, Miba, Medin Semno, Equo, AJD. Ebusia for ye den sem no eko ejwadie mu dia endrada wo dialogue jumedie so no ana ekopie mu se eye utility tariff se si ade wo mo atete so no eye electricity any water no wo dialogue jumedie so no wo mo kasa efa ho a eno no wo mo chem se si ade utility tariff no wo mo eye electricity tariff no wo mo ate so 4.8% sa enso so ana eye water tariff no so eye reduction bi etimi akoso wo mo a wo mo esuso se no eye ade bi ebeboa ma bibia no ejuma mo ye no etimi afa ne ntoma pa ede fra ne ndoada wo dialogue jumedie so no eye nkomo mo twetwe de fa ho no ana wo mo chem se sa utility tariff a wo mo atete so no eno eye propaganda nti ana omwetimi ahwe atete sanse omudi amanyo sembe fema eno ebeme hu se nipa dodo ne hu se eye NDC aban evaye no womo ebom humodin anaso mo ambom humodin eno anasesi ade empenifo ede nsemwe abetudwa yenso ye de bi ababesomo awo eye kase no eso na me de wo eto ansem ne so aguso wedwede nsem ne mu dia eye Minister for Finance Dr. Kesel Atoforsen wono so the key factors bi ebegu kwan ma eno eye ade bia driving Ghana ye rising wage bill no watch say eye compensation cost eno eye ade bia ka ho pan na Ghana ye wages no eye etimi driving na emra wording same way to drive or presidential dialogue eye organized labor for any man Penny John Dramani Mahama Shemuno and Finance Minister Dr. Kesel Atoforsen wono so wo share edisan same way na egu kwan ma no pay yen so ye de bi esum na emra Dr. Kesel Atoforsen e kasa no watch say eye binada wo match bo so many de to so eye do ensum e wa fimpinu ni edionu ensiam no ana watch him say ade omo abebele say eye 39% e Ghana's national expenditure no omo allocate e de ama public sector wages and eye womo wages and salary commission no womo de eye 39% ede ebe momu a eno ebe boa amomu edwuma no etimi akona nim ye papa pa no mo chese annually no wo mo ebe hwema sika bia wo so mutimi twa ede ma mpenifo na wo mo so wo mo nsaka bi ede wo mo edwuma ene no ma ba ohia no wo be hwe ama sade ne nia etimi akoso ede amomu no nti semwe ana fair wages and salary commission eye aban ede abetudwa wode kwa amomu sa enso so ana finance minister Dr. Kesel Atoforsen wono so wode abetudwa no peya yen so ye de bi aba besoma no ti egina so na ye de dwede nsem no aba na wie ye na me de nsem no atwa so akọ enigede nsem ye de ukọ enigede nsem mu dia eye deputy chief executive officer at the National Film Authority eye James Gardner wono ede abetudwa wo chimse aban abone humodin etwa sika no sombo eye 20 million eye Ghana cedis ede amom se eye film development fund no wo mon fan share na wo mon NCCA e wo my Ghana se ne be ebetimi aboa ama film industry no eno so etimi akonenim ye papa pedi amaye eno nti deputy chief executive officer at the National Film Authority James Gardner no ano chese endrada ana aban ene nimpeni for etwa 20 million Ghana cedis a omo chese film industry no wo mo enfa enhwim.
At the center of this renewed effort is a clear understanding. We cannot grow this industry without structure, investment, and market success. It is within the context that I am pleased to highlight a significant intervention by the government. If you haven't heard, the Ministry of Finance has allocated 20 million Ghana cedis to the Film Development Fund, which is scheduled to be operationalized in the second quarter of 2026. I thought we were going to applaud His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for considering us and keeping us in his books and keeping true to his words. This is a critical step in repositioning the industry. The fund is intended as a strategic tool to stimulate growth across the value chain. It will support production, yes, but beyond that, it will also prioritize capacity building, distribution, and access to markets. It is designed to unlock opportunities, attract additional investment, and improve the overall competitiveness of Ghanaian film. However, funding alone will not transform the industry. It must be supported by a clear framework, strong governance, and a shared commitment to accountability and results. That is the approach the National Film Authority is taking. The National Film Authority's strategic focus for the revival of the industry is anchored on transforming distribution and exhibition into a viable and profitable ecosystem, because without a functioning market, production cannot be sustained. At the heart of this agenda, 1%, a deliberate commitment to ensure that at least 1% of Ghana's population actively participates in the commercial consumption of Ghanaian films. This agenda is about building a dependable audience culture, strengthening access to screening.
Our Deputy Chief Executive Edema Ghana Film Industry no de abetudwayen so ye de bi ababesum ye dina ne nse mesoni de anopa na osumpa mu kase no ye de nia abanewe ye de aseda sonko ebeko de ama ya boafo KFM Musical Center Dadaba Teka bana Talent Microfinance womo ananope womo ebo yichi do ma ye de anope nsem no ye de ebesum na nsem no edorso de di mu akotini ebiene se mampeni John Dramani Mahama ndedwe wodin sembi etudwa efa eye Independence eye Movement Commission 2026 no wodin sembi etudwa efa ho sa enso so ana Ghana Police Service etwum se omonsa so nipa be semiensem a eye asanwa sikusa si chief eye ni wo no mosusu se wonim ho bia ye de mu nsem ye de ebesom ye de dwede nsem eka ho edima eye sa enso so ana eye Finance Minister Dr. K. Sawato Forsen wode nsembi ebetudwa efa rising public sector wage bill no wode etudwa fa ho ayenso ye de bi ebesom ye de ni jede nsem eka ho edema James Gardner echum se aban abone homodin edisika no sombo 20 million Ghana cedis ede abase eye film development fund womo fa enhema no so ye de mu nsem ye de ebre weni nsem ne afofro pi anope ye bo ano a ye de ebesom se no so pe mu kase KFM TV ne so ye beda ye production team ni na sesa no pay omotimi bua ma ye den semi ye de ebesom okenkan fo a otemi nka no edin ameje so ene maami esinkroma yakamina